Hey guys, so I am going to show you how I put together this t-shirt right here with the different color heat transfer vinyl. My goddaughter, her mother actually sent me this on Facebook and I thought it was just too cute. So I could actually sit here and try to find all the different fonts to piece this together myself in the design space. But what I did instead was just go to Google and I just did a search and I came across this Etsy store. So I actually found the SVG, which is great because it has all the layers already put together. I can just import it straight into the design space and then start, cutting from there. I noticed that when I pulled this up today that the file is actually not available anymore, so sorry about that, but looks like I did purchase it just in time. So what I'm going to do, I'll kind of show you for those of you who are kind of new to the design space. Once I download it, I can go to my design space, click on upload. I've got an SVG file, so I'm going to click on upload image, browse to the location that I have it in, and then I can name it here, put any tags. I'm just going to click save, and then here's my image right here. So you'll see this green box around it. That means that it's selected. You'll kind of see a little preview of it down here as well. So I can click on all of these to add them to my mat. I'm going to just make sure that I select this one, click on insert images, and then here is my image. So there's a few things that I'm going to go over with you. So just know that you don't have to do it my way. This is just how I do it. If I click on it, the ungroup button is selected so that I know right now that the image is grouped, all the layers are grouped together. So I'm going to click on ungroup. I'm going to click it again because I noticed that it was grouped a second time. That way I can see all the different layers individually. So I've got 7 layers, but I believe there's only 6 colors, and if you notice, this blue and this blue is the exact same. So what I could do is click on this one, highlight it, hold the control button down and click on this one, and then I can attach or weld it together. What that does is it cuts it out exactly like this on the mat, but just know that all this area right here, once you cut out that heat transfer vinyl, it's kind of wasted space, so you're kind of wasting vinyl by doing that. So I am going to undo that. So now that I've got my separate layers again. Another thing that I want to point out is this pink on this Y right here is actually overlapping this O. So this O on the word good, whoops, here it is. If I move this to the side, you'll see that it is solid. So when I go to, well, let me move this back. When I go to press this shirt, I'm going to see like the outline of this O right here because there's basically 2 layers of vinyl right here than there is right here and here. So my preference is to slice this Y out of this O, and that's what I'm going to be showing you in this video, but just know that that is a personal preference of mine. You don't have to do it. Another overlapping area is this purple and this blue right here. We've got a pink and blue right here and a dark blue and light blue right here. So I'm going to basically slice those together. For now, I'm going to go ahead and hide all these other ones and just work on the pink and blue. I'm going to hide this layer too since it's separate. This pink right here, you'll see that it's highlighted, so this is a one image. It's not being separate from the word after. I am going to hold control down, click on that, so I've got 2 layers selected. I've got my pink one and my blue one here, and then I'm going to click slice. So if I scroll to the top of my layers, I can see here's the sliced piece of the pink and here's the blue. So what it did was slice through this. The blue is what I don't want, so I'm actually going to highlight this one and click delete. But what I want to make sure to do is click the pink, control, and click the other pink and weld those back together because I want this to be one smooth piece. So if I move this, I can see that it sliced through that blue, and then when I go to press it, I'll have to line it up exactly like this. So that way it's one flush, even though it's two different colors, it's one flush, I don't know, piece. So now that I'm done with the word good, I'm going to hide that layer and then put this one back on there and do the same thing. So I can either click here, hold control down and click this, and then I'm going to click slice. Make sure I'm all the way back at the top. So again, the blue is what I want to delete. Click my pink and weld that back together. So now that I'm done with the pink layer, I'm going to do the dark blue layer. You can only slice two at a time. So if I had this one, and this one selected, I don't have the slice button available because I have 3 different layers selected. So just keep that in mind. I'm going to do this layer and this layer. It's not really that big of a deal because it doesn't overlap it by very much. But I'm going to go ahead and slice that, delete the blue layer, make sure I weld the dark blue back. So there you can see it took out a little bitty chunk of that. Alright, so I'm done with that. I'm going to do the same for the purple and the blue. I can also just click select all and slice. Scroll to the top of my layers, delete the blue, make sure I weld the purple back together. There we go. So now I can put all my layers back on the mat. Okay, so what I have done is measured the t-shirt. I'll actually add a little clip to this as well. Alright, so now I'm going to get my ruler and I'm going to get my shirt. So I actually got this shirt at a place called T Art Fashion off of Harry Hines in Dallas. So they have a really great selection of different shirts that are blank that you could use. Kind of out of the frame there. There we go. So I'm going to use my ruler. I have a pretty big image, you know, that's going to take up a majority of the shirt. So I'm just going to use my ruler and kind of guess. I'm going to say about 7 inches wide, and I'm going to keep everything on my design space grouped together. So as soon as I do the 7 inches wide, it'll kind of auto adjust the height, and then we'll just kind of go from there. So alright, so what I've done was measured my t-shirt, and I know that the width that I need my image is going to be 7 inches. So all of my layers are separate right now, so I can see that here. I'm going to click on select all. I want to make sure that my entire image is highlighted. I'm going to change this width to 7, and this automatically changes the height to a little bit over 9.5. For this purpose, I like to keep even numbers, so I'm going to unlock this proportionate button there and change this to 10. Go ahead and lock it back. That way I've got even numbers that I'm working with. And I'll kind of show you once I go to press the image on the shirt why that's important to me. So now I'm going to click make, and then I can see the different layers here. So you'll notice that these two right here are the same color, but they are not together on the same mat. So I'm actually going to click cancel and make sure. It looks like there's 2 different blues being used. So this one is using this blue. I'm going to click on this one and make sure that it's using the same blue. And that way, when I look at my mat, it'll put both of them on the same color. So it's very particular about the colors. If it's one digit off, it sees it as a different color and it'll put it on as a different mat. Alright, so when you are using heat transfer vinyl, you want to make sure to click the mirror button. So I'm going to make sure that all of these are mirrored. For this one, since it's two different ones too, I'm going to pull this down just a little bit because I know I'm going to be cutting in between that. Make sure this is mirrored. This is another one that, because this is one image, it's going to cut out exactly like this on my mat. All of this area right here will be wasted space. So just keep that in mind. Mirror, mirror, and mirror. Alright, so what I like to do is grab a piece of paper, but for the video purposes, I'm going to go ahead and type it. Alright, so what I like to do, the green layer, I'm going to do the height by the width, so I basically write down how much vinyl I need and then just cut what I need. So for my green layer, I need at least 6 inches by about 7 inches. For my light blue layer, I need 5 inches by about 7.5 or 8. Dark blue, I need about 8.5 tall by 7 inches wide. Purple, I need about 6 inches wide. 6 inches tall by 5 inches wide. Oops. This kind of sucks because this is wasted space, but what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to go ahead and cut it out like this on the mat, and I'll just cut out this heart separate from this one and then just reuse the area in between as scrap, so not really a big deal. Actually, this is going to be light pink. So I need 7 inches tall by 4.5. Dark pink is going to be, I'm going to say 8.5 by 5. And then just make sure that that is all my layers. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this on pause for a minute and just cut all of my heat transfer vinyl out real quick. Alright, so now I have all of my colors of vinyl. So this is a Pro Light vinyl from Joinus. You can also use the Sizer Easy Weed or whatever kind of heat transfer vinyl that you have. This is actually purchased locally here in Dallas, so I prefer it. You'll see that there is a shiny side and then there is kind of a dull matte side. So this heat transfer has the transfer tape on top of it, and then this is the actual vinyl side. So just remember that when you are working with heat transfer that you want to mirror your image on your design space, and then also when you go to put it on your mat, you want to do your shiny side face down. So I'm going to put it on my mat just like that. Alright, so now that I have all of my layers cut out, I went ahead and ran everything through my Cricut. Actually, I did forget to cut this one. It's kind of hard to see. I definitely save my scraps, so be sure to hold on to those because you never know when you'll want to use those. Alright, so now it is time to weed. Alright, so I actually need to grab my lamp real quick because it's really hard to see with this lighting over here. So I'm going to weed out the places that I don't need. got a little out of hand with it, so it raised my vinyl up. So I'm just gonna press that back down. Oh, and I did forget a spot. Alright, so there you can see, there's my pink layer. Like I said, a lot of this is going to be wasted space. I got a little pink heart. It's almost like it didn't cut all the way through, but I think it's just the vinyl. Alright, so I'm just going to quickly fast forward this. That way y'all don't have to sit here and watch me struggle with this, but you basically just want to weed everything that you're not going to use. So here is my green layer. Alright, so I'm going to finish weeding these real quick. Alright, so I've weeded everything. I've got all my different layers. There's my pink layer. I still need to cut this. Got my purple layer, my dark blue layer, and my green layer. Alright, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to move all of this and put my shirt down. Turn this off too because that light is awful. Alright, so here's my shirt. It's all nice and pressed. What I want to do is find the exact center. So I'm going to fold it in half. Make sure that the seams are aligned. Okay, and what I'm going to do is either iron this right here or just stick it in my press just like that, which I'm going to do for just a few seconds. Alright, and here you can see that I have the middle of my shirt right there. Alright, so now that I have the middle of my shirt, I'm going to set this aside and start aligning everything. I'm actually going to separate this. Alright, so the very first word, in this case, since it's kind of all over the place, there's no really way to determine what the top layer is versus the bottom layer. So I'm just going to take this one right here. So and then it's going to go pink. And then I can see here that I need to separate these just a little bit. Come on. This transfer tape is pretty thick, so. I'll move this over just a little bit. At the same time, I'm looking at my image on my design space, and you'll see that it is kind of tilted like that too. And then you can see on the image as well that the dark blue up here is raised up a little bit higher than that, so. So I'm going to have to move the blue over a little bit, but that's okay. So there is my image. I'm going to get my ruler, and I know that the whole image is 7 inches wide. So I'm going to grab a Sharpie real quick. And then what I'm going to do is find half of 7, which is 3 1/2. And I am going to mark that right there. Now this is only on the blue layer, so I'm going to do the blue layer first. I'm going to go ahead and mark that up here as well. Alright, so since this one is so many different colors and layers, I'm going to go ahead and peel it off of here, keeping everything together. So I'll flip it over and take it off. Alright, so here's my image right here. I'm going to grab my shirt. I've got my line right there. And I'm going to line this up right there. Alright, so I've got this line lined up right here, and because there's so many different layers, I'm going to go ahead and draw wherever my mark is. Just because there's a lot of different layers, so now when I take it apart, like I said, I'm going to do the green one first. So I have my line here, I've got my lines there, I've got my line on this one. my lines on this one. Okay, I don't see any lines on my pink one, so I'm going to go ahead and draw those on as well. And I'm going to leave the green one on there because that will be my first layer. There. Alright, so now that I'm ready to press my first layer, I've got my heat press set to 350. I've got it set for 30 seconds, although I'm not going to use 30 seconds for each layer. Oops. I've got my green layer stuck on there right now, so this is going to be my bottom layer. I'm going to place it in here, and I'm only going to press it for about 10 seconds. Okay, peel it off. It's best to peel it while it's hot. Alright, so I'm going to do my pink layer. I still see the faint line of where my crease was, and I still see it down here. So I'm just going to align that here. Like I said, I've got poor lighting in here, so I'm sorry about that. Okay, so there's that. I am going to go ahead and cover this green part up since there's no transfer tape on that. So I'm just going to put my piece on there just like that. Press it for about 10 seconds. Okay. Alright, so I am actually going to do this one. Let me straighten it out a little bit. Just because I want my Y to line up. So alright, so I'm going to drop this one a little bit. Alright, so because I sliced, let me take this off. Because I sliced part of that blue right there, the two blues together, I wanted to make sure that my dark blue Y matched up for the little slice that came out of the light blue. So that's kind of what I was doing, and I'll kind of straighten up this wrinkle right here too. So before I pressed the dark blue, I wanted to make sure that it aligned properly. So now I can take this one off. And it covers everything well. Ooh, glad I noticed that because that would have gotten stuck on the shirt. Ah, got a green one here too. Make sure you don't have anything, any small pieces. Okay, 10 seconds. Peel it while it's hot. Needs a little bit longer on that one. I'll go ahead and press it shut. Hot. It's okay if a little bit comes up, but you just want to make sure that it doesn't wrinkle the vinyl, because we're going to keep pressing it with all the different colors that we use. So this is the shirt so far. Alright, so the next color is purple. And at this time, I only see my crease right here on the bottom. So it's really all about kind of lining it up with the other words. I know on my image the eye was kind of aligned with this green take. So, and then my image was also lower than the dark blue. So make sure that that is aligned properly. We're going to do it for 10 seconds. Actually, I'm going to cover up my other letters as well, just for now. Okay, peel the transfer tape off. We're going to align this. Go ahead and cover everything up again. I'm going to go ahead and press it all together by snapping it shut. We'll do this for about 10 seconds. Okay. Then take all of the transfer tape off. Alright, so now that we have all the different colors on there, I'm going to go ahead and press it all like it is right now. I'm going to go ahead and press it for 30 seconds too, that way it's good and on there. Actually, I'm going to drop it down a little. Almost forgot my hearts. Alright, so I've got these two little pink hearts here. One goes above the try. And then one goes above the my. Right there. Press that for a few seconds. These won't take long since they're super small. There we go. Now we can press it for a few seconds all together. So this will be the final press. And there you have it, guys. I'll take a better picture of it. There it is. Super cute. All right, if you have any questions, let me know.